in the mountains of Bulgaria. In a small house that still stands today, an old woman once sat in darkness and spoke of things she could not possibly know. She described disasters before they happened. She named the dead before they died. And among her thousands of predictions, some proven true, others lost to time, there exists a prophecy about 3 zodiac signs and a specific moment in human history. February 2026. 3 astrological signs. Unprecedented wealth. This is not a story about fortune-telling or superstition. This is an investigation into one of history's most documented mystics, the strange accuracy of her visions, and a prediction that speaks directly to our present moment. Because whether you believe in prophecy or not, the woman who made this prediction was right about enough things to demand our attention. Her name was Baba Vanga, and this is what she saw. She died in 1996, but left behind predictions extending far into the future. Some for 2025, for 2028, for decades and centuries beyond. Among them, buried in the notebooks of those who visited her, in the memories of those who heard her speak, is a specific prophecy about wealth, astrology, and a month now just weeks away. February 2026. 3 zodiac signs. A transformation of fortune. Before we examine the prediction itself, we need to understand what Baba Vanga believed about astrology and cosmic timing. She did not practice astrology in the traditional sense. She did not cast charts or calculate planetary positions. But she spoke often of cosmic rhythms, of energy that moves through time and patterns, of moments when the universe aligns in ways that open doors for certain people. She believed that human lives are connected to larger cycles, that we are not separate from a cosmos but expressions of it, and that certain moments in time carry different frequencies, different potentials, depending on where you sit in the grand design. The Zodiac, in her understanding, was not about personality traits or daily horoscopes. It was about energy signatures, about the fundamental vibration a person carries based on the moment they entered this world. And certain moments in planetary history, she claimed, would create opportunities for specific signatures. February 2026 is, according to her recorded statements, one of these moments. According to those who document her predictions, she identified 3 signs that would experience a dramatic shift in material fortune during this time. Not gradual improvement, not mild good luck. A fundamental transformation, wealth that changes lives. Resources that arrive suddenly, unexpectedly, from sources that could not have been predicted. The 3 signs she named Taurus, Leo, and Capricorn. Now, before we dismiss this as generic astrological fare, consider the specificity. Not earth signs or fire signs. 3 specific signs. Not sometime in 2026, but February specifically. Not abstract spiritual wealth, but material fortune. Money, resources, tangible change. And consider the mechanism she described. She spoke of a great shift in earthly resources. A moment when wealth that has been concentrated, frozen, locked away, will suddenly flow in new directions. She described it as ice breaking in spring, as dams releasing water, as sealed doors opening all at once. She was not, according to the records, saying that all Taurus, Leo, and Capricorn individuals would become wealthy. She was describing a window of opportunity, a moment when the cosmic conditions favor certain energies taking bold action, when risks that would normally fail have unusual chances of success, when opportunities that would normally pass by become visible and available. For Taurus, she spoke of the bull finding gold in the earth, resources coming through property, land, tangible assets, investments in physical things bearing unexpected fruit, but also, interestingly, through stubborn persistence finally paying off, projects abandoned by others being picked up and turned profitable. For Leo, she described the lion's crown returned, recognition leading to reward, fame or visibility translating directly into financial gain, creative work finally receiving its due value, leadership positions that open access to wealth. But the language suggests it is not new wealth being created, but old wealth finally being acknowledged and claimed. For Capricorn, her words were perhaps most interesting. She spoke of the mountain goat reaching the summit and finding the path easier than the climb. Wealth coming after a long struggle. after years of disciplined work, finally reaching a tipping point. Systems built over time suddenly generating returns. But also a warning. The wealth comes not from reaching the peak, but from what is found there. Connections, partnerships, opportunities that only become visible from that vantage point. So, what are we to make of this? Let's be clear about what we are not saying. We are not claiming that Baba Vanga had supernatural powers. We are not insisting that this prediction will come true. We are not suggesting that every Taurus, Leo, and Capricorn reading this should quit their jobs and wait for money to fall from the sky. What we are examining is a documented prediction made by a woman with an unusual track record about a specific time period that is now imminent, describing economic conditions that eerily mirror our current moment. Because here is what is happening right now, in early 2026, in the real world beyond prophecy and mysticism. We are living through a period of unprecedented wealth redistribution, not through policy or revolution, but through technology, through market dynamics, through the restructuring of entire industries, cryptocurrency, artificial intelligence, the creator economy, the dissolution of traditional employment structures. Wealth is moving, not slowly, rapidly, in ways that favor certain types of people, certain types of decisions, certain types of risks. People who invested in specific assets 5 years ago are seeing exponential returns. People who built audiences, who learned new skills, who position themselves at the intersection of old systems and new ones. These people are experiencing exactly the kind of sudden fortune Vanga described, not because the universe smiled on them, but because they were in the right place when the wave hit. And February 2026, according to multiple economic analysts, sits at a particularly volatile moment. Policy changes taking effect, market cycles reaching inflection points, technology deployments creating new opportunities and destroying old ones. The kind of month where fortunes shift quickly, where those positioned correctly can gain tremendously, where those unprepared can lose just as fast. Is it possible that Baba Vanga, seeing something in her visions, interpreted it to the language available to her, astrology, cosmic timing, zodiac signs, and was actually perceiving this economic moment? That what she saw was not magic, but pattern recognition operating at a level we don't fully understand. That the great shift in earthly resources is not prophecy, but prediction based on cycles she somehow perceived? Or is it simpler than that? Is this prediction, like so many others, vague enough to be interpreted in multiple ways, specific enough to seem remarkable, but ultimately just chance? There is another layer to this story, one that is rarely discussed in the countless articles and videos about Baba Vanga's predictions. She was blind, completely blind. From age 12 until her death at 85, she lived in absolute darkness. Think about what that means for a moment. Every vision she described, she had to translate into words without ever having seen the things she was describing. When she spoke of steel birds hitting towers, she had been blind for decades. She had never seen an airplane, had never seen a skyscraper, yet she described something that matched, in its essence, what would happen. When she spoke of Kursk being covered with water, she was describing something she could only understand conceptually. Water covering a city, a submarine sinking. How do you see these things without sight? The people who visited her, and thousands did, including scientists, psychologists, researchers, described the experience as deeply unsettling. She would sit in a dark room. You would enter, and she would begin speaking before you said anything. She would describe your life, your concerns, your future, in detail that seemed impossible. Some who studied her believed she was reading subtle cues, breathing patterns, voice fluctuations, unconscious signals people give off. But she did this without seeing their faces, their body language, their expressions. She did this in complete darkness. Others believed she was genuinely perceiving something beyond normal human sense. Not magic, not divine intervention, but perhaps a form of perception that blindness, paradoxically, made possible. The way blind people often develop enhanced hearing, enhanced spatial awareness. What if she developed enhanced temporal awareness? The ability to perceive time differently, to sense patterns and probability that sighted people miss? We are, after all, only beginning to understand time. Quantum physics suggests it may not work the way we think it does. That past, present, and future might be more fluid than our experience suggests. That causality might be more complex than our intuition allows. What if Baba Vanga was somehow sensitive to these deeper patterns? What if her blindness, her lack of visual distraction, allowed her to perceive information in a way that others cannot? This is speculation, but it is speculation grounded in the genuine mystery of her documented accuracy. February 2026 is approaching. As of this recording, it is weeks away, which means we are about to find out if this particular prediction holds any truth. Will Taurus individuals experience sudden wealth? Will Leos find their recognition translated into fortune? Will Capricorns reach summits they have been climbing for years and find unexpected rewards? Or will February come go like any other month, with some people gaining, some losing, most staying exactly where they are? Here is what is interesting. The prediction is specific enough to be tested. By March, we will know, not definitively. Wealth can be subjective. Timing can be interpreted broadly, but enough to have a sense. And yet, whether it comes true or not, the prediction itself has already changed reality. Thousands of people belonging to these three signs are now watching for opportunities. They are alert to possibilities they might otherwise miss. They are taking risks they might otherwise avoid. They are positioned to act if the right moment appears. This is the strange power of prophecy. It changes behavior, and changed behavior changes outcomes. If enough Taurus individuals start looking for property opportunities in February because of this prediction, some of them will find good deals. If enough Leos push their creative work because they believe recognition is coming, some of them will achieve it. If enough Capricorns persist through their final struggles because they believe the summit is near, some of them will reach it. Does this make the prophecy true? Or does it make it self-fulfilling? Perhaps the distinction is less important than we think. Let's return to the beginning, to that blind woman in Bulgaria, sitting in darkness, speaking of things she could not possibly know. What was she actually doing? The skeptical explanation is that she was highly perceptive, skilled at reading people, lucky in her guesses, and retroactively credited with predictions that were vague enough to match multiple outcomes. The believer's explanation is that she possessed genuine precognition, that she could see the future, that her predictions are evidence of powers beyond current scientific understanding. But there is a third possibility, one that is more interesting than either extreme. What if she was reading patterns? Not supernatural patterns, not cosmic destiny, but human patterns. Historical cycles, economic rhythms, the way societies move through predictable phases, the way certain conditions create certain outcomes. What if her blindness allowed her to perceive these patterns more clearly, precisely, because she was not distracted by surface details? She could not see individual faces, individual events, individual moments. So perhaps she perceived the larger shapes, the arcs, the trends. And what if this February 2026 prediction is based on a pattern she recognized? Economic cycles that repeat, astrological timing that correlates, for whatever reason, with human behavior, historical moments that create opportunities for certain approaches to life, the stubborn persistence of Taurus, the bold self-promotion of Leo, the disciplined long-term planning of Capricorn. These are not magical qualities. They are strategies, approaches to life. And perhaps what Vanga perceived was that February 2026, based on economic conditions, technological changes, social shifts, would favor these particular strategies. Perhaps she saw that the people who embody these qualities, regardless of their actual sun sign, would be positioned to benefit from the chaos and opportunity of this moment. This would make her not a psychic, but a pattern analyst of extraordinary depth. Someone who could perceive the shape of future events not through magic, but through profound understanding of how humans and societies move through time. It would make her predictions not supernatural, but super observational. And it would make this February 2026 prophecy worth paying attention to, not because Zodiac signs determine destiny, but because a woman with an unusual track record identified this moment as significant. We are recording this in early January 2026. February is coming. The prediction will be tested. But regardless of what happens, consider what we have explored here. A blind woman who saw things others could not. A track record that is difficult to dismiss. A specific prediction about wealth, timing, and cosmic conditions, and a world that, strangely, seems aligned with what she described. Whether through prophecy, pattern recognition, coincidence, or self-fulfilling belief, something interesting is happening. We are at a moment of economic transformation. We are at a point where old systems are breaking and new ones are forming. We are at a time when wealth is moving rapidly, when opportunities are appearing and disappearing faster than they have in generations. And according to Baba Vanga, February 2026 is when three specific energies, the stubborn builder, the confident creator, the disciplined climber, will find conditions particularly favorable. Is it true? We will know soon. But here is the deeper question. What do we do with prophecy? Do we dismiss it entirely, closing ourselves off to possibilities because they seem irrational? Do we believe it completely, surrendering our agency to cosmic timing? Or do we take a third path, acknowledging the mystery, respecting the pattern, but ultimately acting on our own behalf? Perhaps the real gift of Baba Vanga's predictions is not that they tell us what will happen, but that they remind us to pay attention, to be alert, to recognize that life moves in rhythms and cycles, that opportunities come and go, that timing matters. Whether you are Taurus, Leo, Capricorn, or any other sign, whether you believe in astrology or dismiss it entirely, February 2026 is a month like any other month, which means it is a month full of possibility. The question is not whether the stars favor you. The question is whether you are ready to act when opportunity appears, because that, perhaps, is what Baba Vanga was really seeing. Not destiny written in stone, but potential waiting to be claimed. Not fate determined by birth, but windows opening for those prepared to walk through them. She sat in darkness and spoke of light. She lost her sight and gained vision. She saw the future, or she understood the past so deeply that the future became visible. And she left us this prediction, this strange specific prophecy about wealth and timing, and three signs of Zodiac. As a reminder, the world is always changing. Fortune is always moving. Opportunities are always present. The only question is whether you can see them coming, whether your eyes are open or closed.